with us, and two very special guests, people who are two of my favorite people. Many guests are my favorite, but you two are up there. We have Quentin McAndrew and Randall Fullington. Welcome, the two of you. I'll let you give your background a little bit. You were at obviously CU Boulder, and they are in charge of some really innovative programs in the higher ed space that we're going to get into, their leadership style, who they are, and also the really innovative practice in higher ed that is something that I think everyone can learn from and enjoy just hearing your experience, your sort of thought process around the program and how the program is actually manifesting and working out already for all of you. So I'll let you both introduce yourself. Quentin, you want to go first?
Sure. Thanks so much, Al and Rich, for having us. We're so excited to be here. And Al, you're one of my favorite people too, and I have lots of favorite people.
You always have to say you have other favorite people, right?
Just a few other, yeah. So I'm Assistant Vice Provost and Executive Director of Academic and Learning Innovation for the CU Boulder online team at Boulder. And I also have a second job, which is Executive Director of Strategic Transformation. I'm helping manage our strategic investments and mission-oriented outcomes at the university. But in the online space, I've had the great privilege, first of all, of working with Randall, who's just an amazing professional and leader himself, on our Coursera business, which is a scaled learning platform that enables accessibility and affordability of high quality education across the globe. And it's been an extraordinary transformation. For me personally, I teach a course on the platform, but also for Boulder. We have 2 degrees on the platform, and I'll leave a lot of that to Randall to talk about, a master's in electrical engineering and a master's in data science. They each cost $20,000, which is about a third of the cost of the degree if you're coming from out of state to Boulder. Same high quality degree, same accreditation. And then our biggest innovation that was interestingly enough the hardest to pull off is that it's a pure performance-based admissions prospect for our students. So we really wanted to think about how we serve students around the globe who are already professionals, who are already working. And when you think that it can take up to a year to get your application together, find your transcript and qualify, and if you've been a working professional, maybe your undergraduate degree doesn't actually reflect your true capabilities. For our degree, students can come in and within a half an hour start taking credit. And if they can get a B or better, they can get credit and they can earn a degree. And that's been transformative for a lot of our students. And we've heard from them what a difference it's made in their lives. So it's just a really exciting initiative. And now let me turn it over to Randall, because I've been talking a lot.
No, that's great. And we'll go back to a couple of those things in there, Quentin, for sure. For the listeners, performance-based, and they're like, wait, what is this?
Yeah.
It's Coursera, what is this? So we'll dig into that a little bit, but
Great,
Randall, do an intro yourself there.
Great, thanks, Al. It goes without saying you're one of my favorite people too. And Rich, good to meet you. Quentin knows how much I admire her already. So my name's Randall Fullington. I'm the Director of Program Development at CU Boulder. I've actually been at CU Boulder in multiple capacities, I think starting in 2001 as a graduate student, and also worked in the English department office, and then left for a few years, came back in 2008, and I think I've done almost every single role since then at CU Boulder, it seems like. The front office staff, program assistant, interim associate director for an academic program, earned my PhD, and then a program manager, and now the director of program development in our Office for Academic and Learning Innovation. And like Quentin said, mainly, we work on Coursera programs, both non-credit and for credit for the last 2 years, I suppose, although it only seems like 6 months. We've been working on launching the Masters of Science in Data Science, which launched in May. We're really excited about that program. But we're also interested in so many other things, different academic innovations on campus, but then also international partnerships, and currently involved in some interesting discussions in that arena too.
So if you both could sort of take a step back, because I want to hear more about the program as well. Yeah. Quentin or Randall, maybe we'll start with Randall on this one. Yeah. What's your leadership style? Because this is about so obviously leadership redefining leadership overall. And you both have a unique style that sort of can pull this off, right? This is a very different program that we'll talk a little bit more about. But what would you say about you, Randall, that
Yeah.
sort of differentiates you in that leadership space?
Well, okay, so I've been thinking about this, and I'm going to pull one probably a little bit out of left field. My leadership style is absolutely middle child of divorced parents. So that really defines my leadership style, right? It's about, as the middle child, you got to work hard to get noticed. You got to work hard to get the
Middle
deal
child here
done.
too, so
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
But then as middle child of divorced parents, also the communication, right? Maintaining the communication between both parties. So that, especially at a place like CU Boulder, which is a vast institution, right? And it's really terrific and a lot of innovation, but a lot of people going in different directions. It's really been about persistence, keeping people in communication, and connecting people together. I would say one of my largest strengths and one of the things I believe about innovation and leadership is really bringing people together and starting the conversation and helping them get to where they need to go. And in this case, that was lots of different things, right? It was bringing faculty together to brainstorm on the program, to develop curriculum, to start bringing in administration to see what the policies would need to be and how we can pull this off, relying on our other scaled degree, the Master of Science in Electrical Engineering, to build off of the structures and processes that they had already put in place. And that's really what it's been. And it's worked well for this degree because it's such an interdisciplinary degree. We're working with faculty across campus, call it 5 different colleges, numbers of institutes and departments. So arts and sciences, computer science and engineering. We've got info science out of our CMCI college. We've been working with the institutes because they're doing such great work in like geoscience data. So really bringing all those people together and even more recently talking to other people in the CU system.
So I'm going to add always cordial, patient, really patient, but at the same time, and sometimes that leads to ambiguity in leadership. But what I've seen with you is you're always on top of things with the action items and making sure that you're really communicating verbally, but also through email. And I think that makes a huge difference in leadership. That transparency, yet also this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing next.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of wonderful things in addition to what you've said here.
Oh. And I would add, sorry, Randall, but I would add very service oriented.
Yeah, exactly.
Randall will do whatever it takes. He will roll up his sleeves, totally humble, and yet an incredibly accomplished professional.
And empowering folks for success through that piece that you just said. Yeah. Quentin, go ahead. This is just like, I feel like we need a group hug here.
I know.
But we mean it, really. Everybody here is amazing.
Look, if you can't lead with kindness, then what's the point?
That's
right?
Exactly right.
It's just, we all have to be aligned with our personal values. And if kindness is incredibly important. So I'll let Randall weigh in and challenge what I think my leadership style is. But I would say that the degrees that we've put up on this Coursera platform are really, really different. We've built new enrollment management processes, new payment processes. Our curriculum is broken down into single credit hours and 4 weeks of content delivered over 8 weeks. So we had to reconfigure almost everything we do at the university. And I'm getting back to leadership, because what I learned through this process is that we came in and said, gosh, higher ed needs to be disrupted. We need to serve our students better. And everyone knows this. But here's the thing. The university has been in existence for 150 years and it serves 30,000 students a year. And so we have built systems to serve those students really, really well. And I think coming to the table with ideas for change, but honoring why we do things the way we do and understanding what we're doing when we disrupt that and making sure that the mission of the university continues and the students we already have are served is one of the most important things that you can do, is come to the table with respect for the people that you're working with. And then also enabling and empowering them. The University of Colorado is an amazingly innovative place, and we have found the desire to look to the future in every pocket, crevice, corner of the university. But it's really about coming to the table and creating a space where people are comfortable, really thinking about change and then being very responsible about it, which sounds, sometimes like an oxymoron, responsible disruption. But we were very careful to protect our students, be regulatorily compliant, and move through the process with patience, which is really hard when you're trying to innovate and change, so that once we launched our degrees, we had absolute confidence in them.
So how did you, I want to let Rich ask a question here too. How did you sort of quell the questions like, you want to do what? You want how many people to work together? You want to do this, how differently than we normally do things? Like, both of you, how did you sort of navigate that piece from a leadership perspective? And then Rich, I want to hear obviously from you as well.
So I want to jump in really fast and say, because Quentin added to my skills, I wanted to highlight when she said empower. I've worked in so many different offices on this campus. Her leadership style is about empowerment from my view. She empowers people to do what they're interested in and what they're good at, and challenges them too. And it's such a freedom working for her, because you can grow in so many ways. And I think that ties into your question here, because when you get that, you want to do what? It's really about showing people what we can do with the university and how we can reach a larger audience. And through her efforts, we've really empowered faculty to reach students from all over the world. So we have enrollments from 53 different countries in our data science degree. We have, I think it's like 604 completed credits in our first term, and we already have over 700 enrollments in our second term. That's faculty are reaching people, new people that they could have never reached before, right? And so we're empowering them to expand their audience, to take the same education that students receive on campus and giving it to people like Mauritius, or people who live on Mauritius, and who wrote us and said, I've been waiting for a degree like this. And so now we're empowering those people to earn their master's degree and progress, I should say, in their career.
And I'll add the trust factor, Quentin, with you as well.
Yeah.
Trusting, knowing you have good folks to do things, and trusting, even like I created coursework for you too, and trusting everyone in your purview is huge as well. So yeah, so the wait, you want to do what question, Randall? Like, let's go to that one, and then Rich, please chime in.
Yeah, those were really interesting conversations. Like I said, I met with faculty all across campus. Some were more incredulous than others. Some people were waiting to do this. Other people, it took some more conversations, and it took some proof and showing them what we've done on the platform already. I really benefit from the electrical engineering program because we had something I could point them to. I think one of the main things that I had heard from people was that we're a Research One institution, and we really emphasize sort of the residential experience. When we could show faculty that we could deliver high quality, rigorous curriculum to people around the world, that like our design process is really thorough and student focused, that brought a lot of people on board. And in the interest from the students, showing them, we had a webinar, and our first webinar announcing this program, the responses were amazing, and we had so many students saying, this is exactly what I've been waiting for. That's really helped reach our faculty.
Quentin, anything to
add? I think Randall was hitting the nail on the head there too. When we can demonstrate with early adopters, the people who are already waiting to do, I mean, Al, you're one of them, right? Already, we hit it off as soon. You were my favorite person within 2 seconds of meeting you, right? We were so aligned. And so I think finding those people and then building pilots and slowly building your credibility really helps.
Yeah. Rich, question or comment from you? You're muted. Rich, we have a running joke. Rich always, I think he does it purposefully now. Like we have to say, Rich, unmute yourself at least once, right, Rich?
All I would do would have cut in 22 times by now. So it's sort of a leash for me. So here we are. I have more comments than questions. I don't even know where to begin. First of all, wow. Number one. Number two, somewhat being familiar with Coursera, personally, I greatly admire the opportunity that you have created for folks to escape the traditional rigidized institutional approaches that we all have suffered from in one form or another. I use a word I was telling Quentin before we got on, Randall, about called futuring,
Hmm.
and which is a gerund, it's a verb, it's a noun,
Hmm.
it's whatever you want it to be. Sometimes it's an adjective. What you did was, you're the English person, Randall. What you did was you futured a system that extended beyond what we were used to and encrusted by.
Mhm.
And as Quentin was saying earlier before we got on too, is that and you've married it to the principle, LES principles,
Hmm.
and purpose is mission of the institution. Which
Yeah.
I heard Randall, Quentin say that 3 or 4 times already. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
clearly hear that that's a non-negotiable and a worthy non-negotiable for what you're trying to do. The only thing I want to, maybe you can respond to, and it's not really a question. I'll throw it to you, Randall, but certainly Quentin, I'm sure, and Al would have opinions about this. When you talked about how you began developing the processes that you've created so wonderfully, you talked about bringing people from the 5 schools within the umbrella, uh, and I immediately went to my own image of silos,
Yeah.
and bringing Professor X from silo 1 and Professor Y from silo 2. Who are traditionally married to the so-called content with a capital C and a small c. And then you said somehow they were able to uh, give it up's not the right verb, but somehow they were able to surrender it.
Mm.
I'm not even sure that's the right verb. To recognize that the themes that cut across the silos in terms of innovation and innovative recreation of what we offer students extends past their content. Now, was that, and this is the word Al uses a lot, was that organic, or did you somehow curry slash facilitate? I hate that word facilitate. Curry, I like it better for some reason. That, or it just kind of dropped out of the heavens.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll say we were. I don't want to diminish the work we did because there was a lot of work. One of the things though that we were lucky with is the data science is inherently interdisciplinary. So from the beginning, we knew that we had people from across the campus who were doing this work and who might be interested in it. The challenge was bringing them all together. And what was interesting is when I would go out and meet with people, I remember meeting with a geography professor. He had said that he had tried to launch something similar before and pulled a bunch of people together. But the difficulty was getting our university to move on it, right? So what we were able to do, I think that the moment was right. It just invited people. Let's bring you in the room. If you could envision a data science degree, what would it look like? And then how can we help you build that? And then once we could get those folks in the room from computer science, applied math, info sci, geography, I think we had somebody from the institutes and from research computing as well. We could just grow that conversation. And I'm not going to say it was always milk and cookies the entire time. There were certainly some hard conversations, and there are some folks who decided along the way that they weren't interested. And that's fine. But the people who were enthusiastic continued to work on it, and we still have a really strong representation of faculty across campus. So it was work. It was work getting them in there, but luckily this is a field that pulls people together anyway.
And the field of higher education is filled with dichotomies, right? We are siloed, absolutely, with different schools and colleges, independent deans. I'm always saying it's like a bunch of medieval warlords, and you have to start with the individual faculty member warlord, and you build a coalition with them, and then you build a coalition with the chairs, and then you build a coalition with the deans, and it could fall apart at any minute. And there's a lot that's good about that and independent about that. At the same time, anyone in academia is inherently, by definition, collegial, and we work across our disciplines. And so it's more about tapping into that inherent truth that we all live. And then Rich, I just thought some of your language was so interesting when you said encrusted. I think about an organic. I think about the systems that underlie the operations of the university, which grow organically, almost like Darwin's tangled bank. They don't grow in a straight line, and we're paper clipping and duct taping different systems together, and then lo and behold, you have a system that is completely encrusted and very difficult to change. And I think that's one of the hardest things about innovating from within an existing operation, is that you have to overcome the structures that exist that make it work the way it is. And how do you break that? Or maybe break is the wrong word because that's very threatening, but how do you add to that or rebuild that? It's a huge investment.
It's how do you transform it?
How do you, thank you.
How do you come up with a new way to realize?
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have a simulation called Alchemy, which is about some of that, and it speaks to, I don't know how many y'all can tell me before I might forget all of them, several sets of processes that have to be, or variables, maybe is a better word, have to be present in order for that innovation to somehow become the operable premise. And it's about futuring, no question about that. It's about collaboration, which emerges either because people have the maturity and the openness to listen to each other, which is a whole podcast by itself.
Yeah.
It's about creativity, but it's not not about come on everybody, be creative.
Mm-mm.
What are you going to do with how many uses of the pen is this going to be about? It's much more complex than that. People sometimes give it short shrift, and that's unfortunate. It's about decision making. It's about the culture. Did any of those dominate, or did you find any of those that you needed to somehow pump up to overcome in order to be assured that your engine would run?
I tell you, first of all, I also need to say that our provost and our then CFO and our chancellor supported these initiatives from the beginning. Yeah. So unwaveringly, and through now that they're alive and launched and working, it all seems like it was a predetermined outcome, right? That's the beauty of a narrative. But there were moments that were dark, when failure was imminent, and they did not waver. And I just want to acknowledge, without that, we would not be where we are. And then they sort of turned us loose and our team loose and the university loose to make it happen. And our team is broad and vast.
Quentin, before you move, that is not something that's small, right? Just for the listeners, that is a big thing that support from the top down. We know nothing happens without that really undeniable support from the top. Yeah. But go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. And then the grassroots coalition from the bottom is what really makes it happen in higher ed. Yeah.
So I interrupted your thought, though. Sorry, Quentin.
I completely lost it.
I ruined it. All right. So
yeah, I think that resiliency, though, of our office and the folks that we work with is key here, because there were dark moments. I mean, I remember, Quentin, when you came into what we used to call the hallway of distraction, where all of our staff worked. There was a moratorium on new degree proposals at one point, right when we were ready to go, and that was hard. We were in a state of limbo for a little while, and then the pandemic hit, and we were told, all right, you've got a month to propose this degree now, because they wanted to get as many degrees online. And we had to pick right back up and actually move into light speed, it felt like. And so I was able to...
And by we, Randall really means Randall.
No, I worked with some great faculty too. And to develop that proposal on the fly very, very quickly and propose it, and then have 9 months to launch the program. So that resiliency of just weathering those storms, believing in the product, I think, like Quentin said, our leadership was behind it the whole way. So as soon as our university had the green light, everybody moved, everyone supported us. And great partners at Coursera too, I want to say, who really helped us with this too.
No question.
So I feel like we could talk about this all day, but I want to be mindful of your time, and I'd love to have you on again, maybe in the fall.
That would be great.
Yeah,
we've just scratched the surface.
Yeah, we really did, and I want to say now that it's really amazing to me, because I was in it in not the beginning, but pretty close, right? To see sort of this tipping point now where it's becoming like, do you see what they're doing? Like, this is really working. And I think, Quentin, like you said, the narrative is now, it's easy to say that now because of the uncertainty before, but that's a pretty cool thing when innovation, creativity, direction all come together organically, like we're talking about. And now it's like, wait, don't tell me this can't be done. It can be done, and it is being done, and this is how we do it. And what a model for others to follow. within CU. I mean, and other universities too. More power to them, right? But what a model to follow overall, from leadership to strategy to just how you're just going about moving forward with an incredibly innovative program. Last thing I'll say, and I'll let everybody else chime in real quick, how much I appreciate you coming on, of course. But one visual I saw was sort of the culmination or the launch of this, really the beginning, not the culmination, the beginning of this, with so many people. If you could see this Zoom session that was led, I think, by Randall and Quentin, you were there as well. I mean, I don't even know how many people were in that Zoom session, but if you looked at the representation from all these different areas at the university, all in this one place, all for this one program, essentially, it was amazing to see that happen in higher education, and a testament to what is possible too. So Rich, I'll let you say one last thing, and then Quentin and Randall, you have the last word.
There's an Italian phrase, I won't try to repeat because I won't do justice by it, but in English it's called the message behind the music. And the music that you play, which was probably jazz music, because improv, as you moved along and then became what it has become, is a product of intent and of creativity, which is something that we need to find ways to curry. I use that word too many times today. Encourage, curry, nurture. There's a better verb. That unfortunately sometimes runs counter to what some organizational cultures allow. But as you said, your leadership certainly permitted it, which was huge. But it's also a matter of, I was going to say before, of a critical mass that you folks allowed to emerge. And paying attention to that and having your finger on that pulse is really the message behind the music.
I love that. And I'll go and give Randall the last word. I wanted to say one really good mark of a leader is being able to hire really good people. So I hired Randall. So I take credit for that. But I would also say, Al, you're referencing that celebratory Zoom call. The first degree on Coursera started with an electrical engineering faculty member, Bob Erickson, who had a non-credit course on Coursera, and then William Cuskin, who led the effort and also had a course on Coursera, and me, and I also had a course on Coursera. So we all sort of knew what the possibilities were. And we started with those three people and sort of expanded out, and Randall and someone else on our team, Chris Haynes, who's equally remarkable. And we were in this meeting one day with a bunch of people from our Office of Information Technology and the registrar and the bursar, and we weren't talking. And they were working on and implementing the degree. And there was this moment, I have chills right now, this moment where it was no longer our degree, it was the university's degree. And that's exactly what you're both talking about, is this incredible moment where you get the momentum moving, and it is no longer your idea, it is everyone's. And it's one of the most rewarding experiences of my career.
And I love that you acknowledge and let that, because some people are like, wait, no, that's my thing, but you let it have wings, essentially, which is amazing.
Al, give me 30 seconds. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and then we'll let Randall have the last word and let
I'm so sorry. I'm excited as much as you folks are. There's a great book, Quentin, it's called The Theory U, the letter U, by a guy out of UMass, Otto Scharmer, and he talks about the word presencing, where something just emerges. He uses some basketball analogy that I won't bore you with, but that's what you just identified, presencing. So you have nothing to do, find that book.
Okay. That sounds
Randall, last thoughts from you.
Well, I don't know how to follow up on that. I mean, I think I got chills too. I'll go back to that celebration meeting I think that you were referencing now, and all the folks that were there. There were two Zoom moments I think that were special. One was our first webinar for this degree, and we broke Zoom. We broke the question and answer feature because we had so many people there. The other one was that launch celebration. And it was fun because I got to MC it, and it was kind of this like, after the launch, it was like Christmas morning a little bit. But I got to list so many people from our Office of Information Technology, our registrar, our bursar, our finance and budget office, our upper administration, and the senior provosts.
Our university information systems.
Our university information system group, my team, and an ALI, the data science folks. It was so cool to bring all of these people together, and that's really what's been so rewarding about this program. Like the EE degree is really special and exciting because it's blazed the trail. I feel like the DS has really run with it. It's taken the baton and shown like how big we could make this. But it's really the effort of the entire university, like Quentin is saying. And so to have all those people working tirelessly and adding, weekly meetings that they didn't used to have to their schedule, and like Quentin said, having them take it over was really cool to see.
Thank you so much, both of you. Rich, thank you as always as well. I really love to have you on again. We really did just kind of hit the tip of the iceberg.
Wonderful.
I think folks could really learn a lot from this and beyond what we do with this beyond. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much.